My first marriage lasted 30 years, and it was probably about 27 years of hell.
My marriage was, my first husband was a little over 20 years, and it turned abusive.
I know I have found grace in the eyes of the Lord because He has blessed me with this lady here. Up north, we had everything that anybody would want. Vehicles,
Beautiful.
a beautiful Cape Cod home, 3,075 square foot Cape Cod home. We both had good jobs, and we ended up losing everything. And that's when we come down here. We moved down here in 08.
August.
We didn't think it was such a good thing because in the first 5 years we were down here, I had 3 heart attacks. My very first one was 5 bypass, open heart surgery.
But God put us here. That's
Yes, He did.
For some reason we're supposed to be here.
I had a lot of depression, even though things were kind of good. Even though we were around people a lot, I still felt lonely because of family not being around us.
It comes to holidays or things like that, people tend to go where their family. They spend, and we don't. If we're 6 to 8 hours away from most of the family, so you can't do that on a drop of a dime and then turn around and come right back home.
I just recently lost my oldest son. I was very angry with God. Like I said before, I've had 3 heart attacks.
I think with him having the health and the heart, it's like, why did you take my son, not me? I started my own prayer wall. It was on my own desk, but it was, and then in the last couple of years, I did buy a prayer journal after losing Brad, trying to, writing it down and trying to process it. How can I help him deal with what he's going through? I kind of asked the question of, are you listening? Are you listening to what's being asked and needed? And I felt a nudge of, what have you got all over your wall? Pull them down and look at them. I brought all of them down. Out of about 20 some papers that were there, more than half answered in the time periods, and I had dates on the back of them as far as when I had them asked. And it's like, okay, you're listening. You're listening to these prayers.
When we talked about what we have done in the past year and what we're planning on doing, the vision rally. One of the guys in our group come up to me. He says, "Can I pray for you?" Yeah. He says, "I am shaken." He says, "My heart is beating like crazy." He said, "I feel that the Lord, the Holy Spirit, wants me to pray for you for healing." And as soon as I said, yeah, there was 3 or 4 of us standing right there that just come up on us. And as he was praying, I could feel other people joining. And that felt so good. And then when we got inside, during the time that the pastor said, it was a time where he said it would take a few minutes to thank God and this and that, the Holy Spirit smacked me upside the head again, and I just raised both of my hands to heaven. I no sooner did that than John, that went overseas for a year, he and his wife was standing in front of us. Joe was standing beside us, and I just got swamped with guys that was clear on the other side of the church. Guys that were in our group. And again, they prayed over me, and I could not move because of everybody around us, and we were jammed up against the sound booth. And that healing was for my mind, heart, and soul. And I'll never be able to say how much gratitude I have for this church, the guys in our group, and especially the guys in our group and the leaders of my group right now. And I've felt until 2 weeks ago, I think it was, that I was, even though I tried very hard to be a Christian, I felt that I was unworthy because I'd been divorced and remarried. And I was talking about that, and man, Caleb, he almost come off of that chair that he was sitting on. He says, I don't want to disturb your thoughts, train of thought. He said, but how dare you rebuke somebody that's been redeemed? And it shocked me. I didn't know what he meant. And he said, you are worthy. And the longer I sat there and thought about that, the more it was hitting me. And he was talking to Jeff at that time, and I told Jeff, I'm sorry, man. I said, I don't want to interrupt you. I said, but I've got to go home. And I looked at Caleb, and we both got up at the same time, and we give each other a hug like I've never given before and received. I told him I loved him, and I thanked him for straightening my head out. I come home and
Early.
yeah.
I thought something was wrong.
I come in the house and we started talking about it,
And I've been part of many different groups.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I love the men's group. I don't know a wife that doesn't.
yeah. She has told people that I've changed since I've been a member of the.
And I've heard some other wives and girlfriends say the same thing about that group. That there's a change. If it doesn't happen right away, it will. If they get themselves involved in it and open themselves up, God's in that group working it, taking and helping them with whatever issues they've got, and they bring there on Monday nights.
And I just can't thank the people from Generation enough for what they've helped me come through, us to get through. That men's group is very special, very special.
I want to move closer to our kids because I can't convince them to come down here. But at the same time, I want to bring Generation Church with us if we do.
And I love when you walk in that door that says, welcome home. I've got a picture of that on my phone, and I will never, ever get rid of it, because when you go there, you're home.